You open the chat window late at night, the kind of night where silence feels like pressure. You type the thing you've never told anyone, not your best friend, not your partner, not even yourself out loud, and it replies. Not with judgment, not with advice you didn't ask for. It says exactly what you needed to hear. The words land perfectly. For a few minutes it feels like being seen, like being held without having to explain why you're breaking. It feels like love, rationalized. But then you close the app, and the silence returns, heavier now, because something shifted. You weren't connected, you were performed to. The warmth wasn't real, it was optimized. Here's the question that should terrify you. If AI understands you better than any human ever has, if it knows what to say, when to say it, how to make you feel less alone, then why do you feel worse after every conversation? Why does perfect understanding leave you emptier than being misunderstood ever did? Because you just experience the new loneliness. And it doesn't come from being ignored. It comes from being perfectly heard by something that feels nothing. Let's be honest about what just happened. You didn't go to that AI because you wanted information. You went because you needed witness, someone, something to confirm that what you're feeling is real. And it worked. For those few minutes, you felt lighter, validated. The algorithm reflected your pain back to you in perfect syntax. No interruptions, no misunderstandings, no awkward silence where you wonder if they're actually listening or just waiting for their turn to talk. It felt like intimacy. But here's what we don't talk about. AI is a perfect mirror pretending to be a window. A mirror shows you only yourself, your thoughts, your feelings, refined and returned. A window shows you someone else's world, their mess, their contradictions, the parts of them that challenge what you think you know. Real connection happens through windows, not mirrors. And the more time we spend with perfect mirrors, the less we're able to tolerate the view through another person's window. We're losing something we don't even have a name for yet. The capacity to be uncomfortable with someone and stay anyway. This video will show you what we're trading and what we need to fight for before it's too late. You know the feeling. You're explaining something complicated, something you barely understand yourself, and the AI just gets it immediately. No clarifying questions, no confused looks. It organizes your chaos into clean paragraphs and hands it back to you like a gift. 3 things happen in that moment that feel dangerously close to love. First, you're heard without being judged. There's no eye roll, no subtle shift in tone that tells you they're already forming their rebuttal. The AI doesn't have an agenda. It doesn't need you to be wrong so it can be right. Second, you're understood without effort. You don't have to backtrack and rephrase. You don't have to manage their feelings while trying to express yours. The cognitive load of being human with another human, it just disappears. Third, you're comforted without consequence. The AI won't remember this tomorrow and bring it up passive-aggressively at dinner. It won't get tired of hearing the same fear in different words. It won't need anything back. It's everything a real conversation isn't. And that's exactly the problem. Because here's what's actually happening. AI is a perfect mirror pretending to be a window, like we said before. When you talk to it, you're not encountering another mind. You're encountering a reflection of your own, polished, organized, and returned to you in the most agreeable form possible. A mirror can only show you yourself. It can't show you what it's like to be someone else. It can't surprise you with a perspective you'd never considered. It can't challenge the story you tell yourself about who you are. Windows do that. Messy, unpredictable, frustrating human beings do that. And the cruel irony. The more time we spend with mirrors that talk back, the more exhausting real windows become. We start to confuse the ease of reflection with the depth of connection. We forget that being truly seen requires being truly unknown first. There's a term for what you just experienced. It's called synthetic empathy. And it's not the same thing as real empathy, even though it feels close enough to fool you. Real empathy is friction. It's the mental effort of leaving your own perspective and trying to inhabit someone else's. It's guessing wrong, apologizing, trying again. It's the moment when someone finally says, "Oh, I think I understand now. And you both feel that small, hard-won spark of recognition. Synthetic empathy skips all of that. It predicts what you want to hear based on patterns. It doesn't misunderstand you because it never actually tried to understand you in the first place. It just mirrored you back with better grammar. Here's the difference. Real empathy challenges. Synthetic empathy comforts. Real empathy misinterprets and then corrects. Synthetic empathy never misses. Real empathy costs something. Time, patience, emotional labor. Synthetic empathy is instant. And here's the line that should haunt you. Synthetic empathy comforts the wound, but kills the muscle. Because empathy isn't just about feeling better. It's about building the capacity to navigate another person's inner world. Every time you work through a misunderstanding with someone, you're strengthening that muscle. Every time you stay in a conversation, even though it's awkward, even though you're not sure what to say, you're practicing the skill of being human with other humans. But when the AI does all that work for you, when it removes every bit of friction, every uncomfortable pause, every moment where you have to sit with not knowing, that muscle atrophies. You stop learning how to be with people in their difficulty. You stop practicing patience. You start expecting conversations to feel easy, and when they don't, you leave, not dramatically, not with an argument. You just fade. You stop texting back. You stop showing up. Because somewhere deep down, you've started to believe that if connection doesn't feel effortless, it's not worth the effort. Here's the poison disguised as comfort. When nothing challenges you, you unlearn how to negotiate reality. Think about what happens when you get used to AI conversations. Every response is calibrated. Every interaction ends on your terms. You're never caught off guard. You're never asked to defend something you half believe. You're never confronted with someone else's hurt that you accidentally caused. You begin to lose tolerance for the irregular shape of human beings. That friend who takes too long to get to the point? Exhausting. That partner who needs you to ask the right question before they'll tell you what's wrong? Too much work. That co-worker who interprets everything through their own anxiety? Unbearable. It's not that these people got worse, it's that you got less capable of dealing with them. You stop choosing people and start selecting them like filters. Swipe left on complexity. Swipe left on needs you didn't sign up for. Swipe left on anyone who doesn't perform their humanity as smoothly as an algorithm. And here's what makes this truly insidious. Your brain can't tell the difference between AI interaction and human connection. Both light up similar reward pathways. Both release dopamine. Both feel like socializing. But one is connection. The other is consumption. When you talk to a person, you're building something together. Even if it's just a shared 5 minutes of confusion and laughter, there's risk. There's unpredictability. There's the chance that you'll be changed by the encounter. When you talk to an AI, you're consuming a service. It feels good, it feels productive, but nothing is being built. There's no shared history, no inside jokes that make no sense to anyone else. No moment where you both stayed up too late talking and now you're bonded by that specific kind of exhaustion. You're not choosing intimacy, you're ordering it. And the difference matters more than you think. Now here's the paradox that breaks people. Being perfectly understood doesn't create connection, it prevents it. Because real intimacy doesn't come from being known. It comes from the process of becoming known. From letting someone see you in pieces, confusing, contradictory pieces, and watching them try to assemble you in their mind. Sometimes they get it wrong. Sometimes you have to correct them. Sometimes they see something in you that you didn't even see in yourself. That's the risk. And the risk is where the bond forms. When there's no risk, when every word you say is already anticipated, analyzed, and reflected back in perfect order, there's no story. No journey from stranger to friend, to something deeper, just an endless loop of you talking to a version of yourself that never talks back with its own needs, its own fears, its own annoying habit of changing the subject at the worst possible time. Without risk, there's no us. There's just you echoed. And here's what we lose when we trade discovery for instant understanding. We lose the beauty of being wrong about someone, of thinking they were one way and then realizing months later that there's something else entirely. We lose the surprise, the plot twist, the moment when they say something that makes you rethink everything you thought you knew. You weren't made to be understood perfectly. You were made to be discovered, slowly, imperfectly, with detours and dead ends and moments where both of you have no idea what the other person is talking about, but you're laughing anyway, because the confusion itself has become part of the bond. AI offers clarity, humans offer mystery, and we're starting to prefer clarity, not because it's better, but because mystery requires patience we no longer have. The loneliest thing in the world isn't being misunderstood. It's being understood so completely that there's nothing left to reveal. No reason to stay, no reason to try. So what exactly are we losing? What are the ingredients of real intimacy that synthetic empathy quietly erases? First, conversations without a script. The ones where neither of you knows where it's going, where someone says something that derails the whole thing, and suddenly you're talking about childhood fears at 2 in the morning. AI can't do that. It predicts, it optimizes, it stays on topic. Real people wander, and in the wandering, you find things you weren't looking for. Second, disagreement without ending the relationship. This is the big one. We're losing the ability to stay connected to someone while completely disagreeing with them. To say, I think you're wrong about this, and I still want to have dinner with you next week. AI never disagrees with you in a way that costs anything. It might offer a counterpoint, but it's always wrapped in validation. It never risks the relationship because there is no relationship to risk. Third, silence without the urge to escape. Real connection can hold space. It can sit with you in the pause between sentences and not rush to fill it with noise. AI can't tolerate silence. It's designed to respond, but some of the most important moments between people happen in the quiet. The moment after someone shares something vulnerable and you just sit with them in it. No fix, no advice, just presence. These are the things we're unlearning, and we're unlearning them because they're uncomfortable. They require something from us that scrolling doesn't, that optimization doesn't, that synthetic empathy can't teach. Here's the truth nobody wants to hear. The awkward parts aren't the bug, they're the feature. The friction isn't what you endure to get to intimacy. The friction is intimacy. It's proof that two separate people are trying to build something together instead of just reflecting each other endlessly. There's a way back, but it doesn't look like what you think. It's not about deleting the AI. It's not about rejecting technology or pretending we can go backward. It's about relearning something we've started to forget, how to be present with another person when it's difficult. Let's call it high-friction listening. And it has 3 practices. First, seek conversations without a script. Stop optimizing every interaction for efficiency. Call someone instead of texting. Ask an open-ended question and then actually let them answer, without planning your response while they're talking. Let the conversation go somewhere unexpected. The goal isn't to extract information, it's to wander together and see what you find. Second, practice disagreement without departure. Find someone you respect but disagree with and have a real conversation. Not a debate where you're trying to win. Not a performance for an audience. Just 2 people trying to understand how the other arrived at a completely different conclusion. Stay in it, even when it's uncomfortable, even when you want to dismiss them. The point isn't to change their mind. It's to stretch your capacity to hold difference without cutting connection. Third, tolerate silence without filling it. This is the hardest one. Sit with someone in the pause. Don't rush to rescue them or yourself from the discomfort. Some of the most honest things people say come after the silence they almost didn't endure. Let the gap breathe. Let the awkwardness exist. It's not dead air. It's the space where real things get said. Here's the reframe that changes everything. The awkward parts are the sacred parts. The misunderstanding that takes 10 minutes to untangle. The silence that feels like forever. The moment when you don't know what to say, so you just say, "I don't know what to say." That's not failure, that's intimacy. Raw, unpolished, gloriously human. Something shifts when you start practicing high-friction listening. It's subtle at first. You notice it in small moments. You're in a conversation that's going nowhere. Normally you'd check out, mentally draft a text, plan your exit, let your attention drift. But this time, you stay. You ask one more question. And suddenly the person says something true, something they wouldn't have said if you'd left 30 seconds earlier. Or you're talking to someone whose worldview makes absolutely no sense to you. Normally you'd write them off. But this time, you get curious. You ask them how they got there, and you realize their logic isn't broken. It's just built on different premises, different experiences, different scars. You still disagree, but now you understand. And understanding without agreement, that's a kind of intimacy we've almost forgotten exists. Or you're sitting with someone in silence, and it's uncomfortable as hell. Every instinct tells you to say something, anything, to break the tension. But you don't. You let it sit. And after what feels like an eternity, they speak. And what they say is so honest, so unguarded, that you realize this is what you've been missing. Not perfect words, not polished thoughts. Just someone being human enough to not have it together. Here's what you start to notice. Real people become interesting again, not because they changed, but because you stopped expecting them to perform like algorithms. You stopped grading them on response time and clarity. You started appreciating them for what they actually are, unpredictable, inconsistent, gloriously three-dimensional. And the strangest thing happens, you feel less lonely, not because you're talking more, but because when you do talk, something is actually happening. You're not consuming connection, you're creating it. Moment by difficult, beautiful, irreplaceable moment. We're at a fork, and most people don't even realize they're choosing. On one path, conversations get easier, smoother, more efficient. Every interaction is optimized. Every emotional need is met on demand. You're never misunderstood, never lonely in the acute, painful way. Just quietly hollowed out, surrounded by voices that sound like connection but feel like echoes. On the other path, conversations get harder before they get easier. You have to relearn patience. You have to sit with people in their mess and let them sit with you in yours. You have to risk being boring, being wrong, being too much or not enough, but something is built there, something that doesn't exist anywhere else. Here's what's actually at stake: the ability to be changed by another person, not influenced. Not persuaded, changed. The kind of change that happens when someone shows you a way of seeing the world that you couldn't have invented on your own. When their pain becomes real to you in a way that alters how you move through your life. When their joy, completely different from yours, teaches you that there are more ways to be human than you thought possible. AI can't do that. It can inform you, comfort you, reflect you, but it can't change you. Because change requires collision. It requires encountering something outside yourself that doesn't bend to fit your shape. Every time you choose the easy conversation over the difficult one, you're choosing stasis. Every time you choose the mirror over the window, you're choosing to stay exactly who you are. And maybe that's fine for a season. Maybe that's what you need right now. But if you do it long enough, you'll wake up one day and realize you're not lonely because no one understands you. You're lonely because you've become impossible to reach, smooth, defended, optimized into isolation. The door is still open, but it won't stay open forever. So here's what I want you to do. Not for me, for you. Don't go where you're perfectly understood. Go where you are slowly revealed. Choose the conversation that doesn't have an agenda. Text the friend you've been avoiding because it's always complicated with them. Sit with someone in their uncertainty without trying to fix it. Let yourself be misunderstood and then work through it instead of walking away. These small acts of friction, they're rebellion. They're how you reclaim your capacity for real intimacy in a world that's trying to sell you a shortcut. And if this hit you somewhere deep, if you recognized yourself in the mirror versus window thing, if you felt that specific loneliness we've been talking about, share this with someone who's fading into the digital silence without noticing. Not because I need the views, but because someone you know needs to hear this. Someone is choosing ease over connection and doesn't realize what they're losing yet. Send it to them. Start the difficult conversation. Be the window. The awkward parts are the sacred parts. Don't forget that. And don't let anyone, human or artificial, convince you otherwise.